We're joined by Austin Gayle from Pro Football Focus at PFF_Austin Gayle. That's spelled Gayle. Now, if Haskins is going to succeed, he needs to get the ball to Terry McLaurin a ton. And you put up an article on May 4th on Pro Football Focus about how the bar isn't high enough for Terry McLaurin's sophomore season in the NFL. He was a steal for the Redskins last year in the draft, and expectations are super high for him in 2020.
Absolutely. I mean, the biggest thing with Terry McLaurin is it was a very good rookie receiver class this past year. A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, obviously Terry McLaurin. But of them all, I think Terry McLaurin is set up to have the most success of this group. Deebo Samuel and A.J. Brown ranked first and second in yards after the catch per reception, something that has a ton of value in today's NFL and is very stable year over year. But separators that can win downfield on a high average depth of target are where the NFL is right now. The Michael Thomases, Julio Joneses of the world averaged fewer yards after the catch than Terry McLaurin this past year, but they dominate at their position because they win routes downfield at the intermediate and deep levels of the football field. Terry McLaurin, with his speed, with his route running ability, creates separation better, in my opinion, than the Deebo Samuels, A.J. Browns, and DK Metcalfs of the world. He is that receiver you want, pushing the ball downfield and being that kind of volume pass catcher, demanding targets. You talk about earning targets at PFF a lot, and because yards per route run is such a predictive metric, earning targets also falls in line with that. And I think Terry McLaurin is the type of receiver that earns targets at the next level. I expect him and Dwayne Haskins, his former college teammate, which doesn't get talked about enough. I think this year, too, them playing together again is going to lead to a very productive season. McLaurin, you could see 110, 120-plus targets for this guy in 2020 and him having a ton of success on them.
And Austin, also in the article, you mentioned the fact that he did some of his best work against top-flight corners, guys like Stephon Gilmore, Slay, Byron Jones. So it's not like he was beating up on stiffs. He was taking on the best and beating some of the best.
I mean, so very early on, Terry McLaurin was demanding the number one corner. Like, Darius Slay was shadowing him, halfway or a little over halfway through the season. I talked to him right after that matchup, and he said, Darius Slay shadows every team's best receiver, so I knew he was coming on me. And he said he watched every single rep of Darius Slay in the games prior, found his belt, find what he needed to do to beat him in certain routes, beat him in certain press coverages, and did a fantastic job against the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Like, Darius Slay is now the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, and Terry McLaurin took him to school. Darius Slay also commented on that post I did with him in that interview with Terry McLaurin, saying that he beat me a handful of times. And if you turn on the All-22 against Stephon Gilmore, you don't see him get beat a lot. Terry McLaurin beat him 2 or 3 times on a handful of fantastic routes against press coverage. Like, seeing a receiver win in one-on-one coverage with his separation ability is rare. And to do it as a rookie for a Washington Redskins team that really did struggle in 2019, it was just so impressive. I really came away impressed rewatching his tape and specifically looking at his numbers and what's predictive year over year.
Austin, who is the Terry McLaurin clone coming out of the 2020 draft? Because we know this is a super deep draft for wide receivers. The class that just came out.
Man, I wish Jalen Reagor went in the first round, but he was not talked about as a first rounder for a long time. Didn't have great production in 2019. Only 3 college football receivers saw a lower percentage of accurate on-target passes than Jalen Reagor did at TCU this past year. He did not have a good quarterback situation. When I talked to him after the season, he said, this was an opportunity for teams to learn about my character, not my ability, because I had such a bad quarterback situation. I think Jalen Reagor, with an accurate quarterback like Carson Wentz, I think is going to have a ton of success in Philadelphia. You're going to see a receiver that can really break games in the NFL. I think he's going to be a guy that a lot of people are sleeping on. Some Philly fans wanted the Eagles to go after Justin Jefferson, not Jalen Reagor. I don't think they're going to be disappointed in Reagor.
Austin, what are your expectations for Burrow and Cincy, since he does have some weapons to throw to? Obviously, he's going to struggle at times as a rookie, but he's got some weapons.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have to temper expectations just because that offensive line is bad. Like, would be the worst offensive line he's ever played behind in his collegiate career. Jonah Williams is coming back, the Alabama offensive tackle that Cincinnati drafted in the first round a year ago. But outside of that, you have Bobby Hart, a very bad interior offensive line. And I like their weapons. T. Higgins and A.J. Green, big-bodied receivers, great contested catch guys. And Tyler Boyd finds ways to get open in the spot. But he's going to have to get the ball out quick, something he didn't do a ton at LSU. This offense is going to be a bit different from what Joe Brady had from at LSU. I think it's good. And the abbreviated offseason is not going to be talked about enough with Joe Burrow. I mean, he's not going to have a ton of opportunities due to the COVID-19 pandemic to throw to A.J. Green, to throw to T. Higgins and his receivers, to really practice with his teammates. And that's going to be very difficult for rookie quarterbacks, including Joe Burrow. Like, that's going to be very difficult to come in and start week 1 or week 2, whenever he comes in and starts, and really expect high things from him, because it's just going to be that much harder to learn the playbook, really just develop that chemistry with his teammates, because I just don't think he's going to have a ton of opportunities to do so this offseason.